Hey, it's the 1920s. This time period also has a famous nickname that you've probably heard before, known as the Roaring Twenties. The US was full of rapid expansion. Mass production, new consumer goods like cars and radios, increased employment, rising incomes, and a culture of optimism. All of this followed by World War I meant the US was basically booming. No longer were they a small power, but classified with some of the greatest powers in the world. From the outside, everything looked perfect. The US was expanding. That is, except for in the South. The South had lagged behind the national prosperity, suffering an agricultural depression due to falling cotton prices and devastating boll weevil infestations, leading to the rural poverty and migration. Not to mention the fact that all of this modernity and expansion threatened the traditional ways of life. In this low point, Southerners needed to find a way to band together and put a stop to these new views. A new name started to resurface, along with propaganda that only served to fuel its expansion, known as the Ku Klux Klan.
Now, to fully understand where this came from, however, we need to take it back to the 60s. 1865 to be exact. The American Civil War had just ended, and the South wasn't exactly thrilled by the idea of them losing slavery. Slaves being their main method of making money ended up destroying their economy. Now let's take it to Christmas Eve of 1965. Because who doesn't love Christmas? A group of white Confederate officers had decided on this day to make a social group, using the Greek word kyklos, meaning circle, to create the name Ku Klux, using Klan for an alliteration. The KKK, which was initially designed to use ghost costumes to scare people, started gaining traction due to the reluctance of Reconstruction in the South. They realized that they could use these disguises to commit more violent crimes, turning into a political group rather than a social group. This led to what we know now as the KKK. Their main goal was to obtain white supremacy through murders and aggravated assaults towards African Americans and even white voters who supported racial equality and civil rights. The government cracked down on the group in 1871, passing the force bill that allowed the prosecution of Klan members, and by early 1870s, the Klan had all but disappeared. So, if that's true, then how were they back in the 20s? You see, in 1915, a director named D.W. Griffith created the movie The Birth of a Nation. This movie was designed to depict African Americans as savage, unintelligent, and sexually aggressive towards white women, and why people believed African Americans should be in power. It was a silent film and was the first film screened in the White House by Woodrow Wilson, the 20th President of the United States of America. This film also portrays the KKK as a heroic force that protects white women and maintains white supremacy. This film is still to this day considered the most controversial film ever made in the United States due to its message, and its use of blackface because they didn't use a single African American in the movie. This film ended up serving as a large recruitment tool due to its success, and was seen as a way to resist the rapid social changes of the 20s. The film was also the first time the KKK was seen burning crosses, which is why it's a common symbol when spoken about the KKK today, as that was many people's first introduction to the group.
A rare look inside the secret world of the KKK. For those of you who think burning crosses and hooded rallies are relics of the civil rights era, think again.
The 1920s are when the KKK resurged in popularity, already gaining 2 million members by early 1920s. These members were spread all throughout the nation, one of the biggest groups being in Oregon with over 30,000 sworn-in members in 50 separate chapters across the state, and controlled most of the politics in Oregon due to their high numbers. This new KKK did not only target African Americans, but any ethnicity or religion that wasn't their own, like immigrants, Catholics, or Jews. A huge example of their power was the DNC convention of 1924, which really emphasized the power that the Klan held politically. The Democratic Party at the time, which was half Northerners and the other half being the KKK, was divided on a major decision, which was to publicly condemn the KKK, or to say that the KKK was dangerous and un-American. The Northerners, who were trying to condemn the KKK, ended up losing by 1 vote. This put a major divide in the party and showed the true power that the Klan held in the mid-1920s. The Klan, however, slowly lost its power throughout the 20s 30s, and 40s due to internal corruption and scandals. With a following so large, how did this happen? Well, it all started with the Stephen versus State case. The Indiana KKK was the largest state branch in the Klan's empire. Because of this, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that the Klan owned the state. David Curtis Stephenson was known as the largest KKK leader in Indiana, or the Grand Dragon. This was the highest rank in the KKK, just after the Imperial Wizard. Okay, why do they get such cool titles?
Dude, seriously?
Right, sorry. He was tried and found guilty in November of 1925 for the assault, rape, and murder of Madge Oberholzer. This conviction led to a dramatic decline in the organization's membership and political influence. What began as a vicious sexual assault on a night train from Indianapolis to Chicago ended with arrests of Indiana's governor and other high state officials linked to the Klan.
A few years after Stephen's trial would be another big reason why the KKK was no more: the Great Depression. The Great Depression began in 1929, where millions of Americans lost their jobs, homes, and savings. Economical survival began to be the biggest concern to people. The KKK relied on people having time, money, and emotional energy to attend meetings, pay dues, and participate in activities. People could no longer afford membership fees or justify spending time on a political or social movement that didn't benefit them. The government began New Deal programs which gave people economic assistance and a sense that national problems could be solved through democratic government rather than extremist movements. This heavily reduced the appeal of the KKK as a source of order or protection. The decline within the KKK was detrimental to their goals, as from their estimated peak of 5 million total members in the mid-1920s, is declined all the way to only 30,000 members by 1930. Yeah!
Today, the KKK is not nearly as prevalent in the slightest, only with small groups that run under the KKK's banner. Although the KKK isn't as prevalent today, that doesn't mean that there aren't things today that seem to have similar ideologies, one of which that I would like to bring attention to is ICE. I think there can definitely be comparisons made between the KKK's ideas and ICE in removing a certain ethnic group, anti-immigration and white power, and being painted as heroes for taking care of criminals. There's also the fact that both have their own ties to the government in some sort of way. Anyway, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. This was a documentary made by myself and Oscar, and we hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.